In this video, we will discuss the blunders of Jawaharlal Nehru. Jawaharlal Nehru became India's first Prime Minister thanks to Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi, who arm twisted the Congress into accepting him over the immensely popular and capable Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel. The Congress party dynastic lackeys like to call Nehru the architect of modern India. The claim ironically is true. Nehru is responsible for lion's share of the problem that India has inherited from 1940s through the early 1960s. Let us take a brief look at Nehru's monumental blunders, which went a long way towards shaping the India we all know. First is creating the Kashmir issue. Nehru single-handedly created the Kashmir issue that weighs India down to this day. Firstly, by refusing Jammu and Kashmir accession to India when it was first offered in September 1947. Secondly, by accepting it only if the unconditional accession was made, temporary and conditional. Thirdly, by preventing the Indian army from liberating the whole Jammu and Kashmir from Pakistani invader at the end of 1948. Fourthly, by needlessly internationalizing the issue, lastly by engineering, despite opposing from Patel and Ambedkar. Second is refusing the Khan of Kalat's offer to accede to India. In 1947, the Khan of Kalat, a princely state in Balochistan, opted to join India rather than Pakistan. He sent Nehru sign accession paper that officially made Kalat a part of United of India. Nehru, for reason best known to him, rejected Kalat's accession and returned the accession paper to the Khan, paving the way for Pakistan invasion and annexation of Balochistan. Third is obstructing Sardar Patel's plan to liberate Hyderabad from the murderous Nizam. After India's independence, Hyderabad Nizam refused to accede to India and unleashed a private army of over 2 lakhs Rajakars on the state of Hindu subjects, massacring at least 30 to 40,000 people. By conservative estimates, in response, Union Home Minister Sardar Patel decided to liberate the state using military force. PM Nehru opposed the plan and tried to scuttle it. He insulted and humiliated Patel, calling him a complete communalist. In a meeting, Patel went ahead despite Nehru's best effort and launched the Operation Polo. Fourth is gifting Manipur's Kobo Valley to Burma. The lush, fertile and resource-rich Kabo Valley, which measures over 11,000 square kilometers, has been part of Kingdom of Manipur at least as far back as 4050s. According to historical records, after the British annexed Manipur, they leased the valley to Burma in 1834. In consultation with Maharaj Gambhir Singh of Manipur. In return, Burma paid the Kingdom of Manipur Sikka rupees 500 monthly as compensation, with the clear stipulation that Manipur retained the right to reclaim the land at any time. The compensation was paid until Manipur became a part of Union of India, at which point it became incumbent upon the government of India to reclaim the land. However, instead of reclaiming the territory, Nehru gifted it to Burma in 1954. Fifth is gifting the strategically located Coco Island to Burma. The Great Coco Island and the Little Coco Island from the northernmost part of Nicobar Archipelago. India's former Defence Minister George Fernandes revealed that PM Nehru gifted these islands to Burma after India's independence. Subsequently, Burma handed them over to the China, which has established an extensive electronic surveillance station on the larger of the island to keep an eye on India's military and naval activities in the Bay of Bengal, giving it a crucial strategic advantage in India's backyard. Sixth is hospitality towards Sardar Patel in restoration of Somnath Temple. After India's independence, Union Home Minister Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel pledged to rebuild the Somnath Temple that was being destroyed by Mughal Emperor Aurangzeb. Nehru opposed the project tooth and nail, terminating it Hindu revivalism. Despite Nehru's hostility, the strong-willed Patel completed the restoration. When President Rajendra Prasad was invited to inaugurate the temple, Nehru advised him to dissociate himself with the event in the interest of preserving the secular fabric of Indian Republic. Prasad too ignored Nehru's advice. Seventh is rejecting American and Soviet offer of a permanent seat for India at the UNSC. In 1950, soon after India's independence, the United States offered India a permanent seat at United Nations Security Council. PM Nehru rejected the offer, saying that he would not accept any offer that come at the cost of China. In 1955, the US repeated the offer in tandem with the USSR, in rare instance of agreement between the Cold War enemies. Nehru again rejected the offer, insisting that priority to be given to the China instead of India. Nehru ensured that China got a permanent seat at UNSC Council at the expense of India. Today, thanks to Nehru, China has unlimited access to the opportunity to repeatedly harm India's interests. Eighth is refusing the Sultans of Oman's offer of gift of Gwadar port. The Sultan of Oman offered the port of Gwadar to India in 1958. Nehru rejected the offer. Pakistan subsequently brought the strategically located port, which today is lymphosin of China's CPEC segment of its massive Belt and Road project. Ninth is preventing Nepal from rejoining India. In the early 1950s, Nepal King Tribhuvan offered to merge Nepal with India. However, for the reason best known to him, Nehru rejected the offer. 10th is rejecting US President Kennedy's offer to help India become Asia's first nuclear power. Much before China became the first Asian nation to test a nuclear device, US President John F. Kennedy had offered to help India build and detonate one in Rajasthan desert. Kennedy sent PM Nehru a handwritten note making the offer. Kennedy's letter emphasized that nothing is more important than national security. But Nehru turned down Kennedy's offer. Had Nehru accepted Kennedy's offer of assistance, India would have been the first Asian nuclear power, ahead of China. China would not have dared to invade India in 1962, nor would Pakistan have in 1965. Had Nehru accepted Kennedy's offer of assistance, India would have been a founding member of Nuclear Suppliers Group. 11th is signing the most unequal treaty in history. In 1960, Nehru, for the sake of friendship and goodwill, signed one of the most unequal, lopsided treaties ever. The Indus Water Treaty, giving Pakistan ownership of 3/4 of water that flows through Indus system. Pakistan reciprocated Nehru's gesture of goodwill by invading India just 5 years later. 12th is giving up on Tibet, placing India's water security on and northern border at China's mercy. When indication mounted that China under Mao Zedong was preparing to invade Tibet, Nehru refused to even contemplate the idea of using military force to deter the Chinese. The invasion eventually happened in 1950, rendering India's northern border undemarcated and insecure, placing Tibet's immense water resources upon which India depends squarely in China's hand. Furthermore, Nehru did not make any effort to settle the border dispute with the Chinese, which led to the 1962 war with China. 13th is regional division in terms of linguistic. During Nehru's regime, Poti Sriramulu went on hunger strike, demanding formation of Indian state on the basis of local speaking language, that is Telugu, of Madras Presidency. Sardar Patel and Rajendra Prasad warned Nehru not to agree of this demand, as it will create linguistic division and hatred. They advised him for some alternative solution. Sriramulu lost his life during hunger strike. Nehru declared the formation of Andhra Pradesh 3 days later. This led to hatred between other linguistic groups. This problem still persists. Regional identity cannot be bigger than national identity.